my soul on fire. Baby, you set my soul on fire.
As my sim racing setup evolved, I began to look for ways to improve my overall racing experience by increasing immersion and realism. One of the very first add-on accessories to the rig was the addition of a DDU, or dash display unit. DDUs are commonly found in all modern racing cars as part of the dash cluster or steering wheel. The display provides the driver with critical information and telemetry, including but not limited to RPM, speed, gear, temperatures, pressures, lap times, and race position. So if you're not familiar with these types of units, you may be asking yourself, why is this needed for sim racing, when the DDU is usually replicated in-game using a cockpit camera view? There are a few reasons why you might want to use an external display unit. One is that depending on the combination of your monitor position, field of view, and camera, the in-game DDU may still not be fully visible. Suppose you're using a vehicle in-game with a DDU on the wheel itself and would like to remove the virtual wheel. In that case, you also lose the ability to see this crucial data unless you use some sort of layovers, which can take away from the realism a bit in my opinion. And lastly, I think it looks cool. Adding something that is physically part of the rig increases the immersion a bit. Accessories like this that are external and surround you, like button boxes, racing nets, or seatbelts, all add to a more realistic experience and further increase that feeling of sitting in a real race car. When I first started researching purchasing a display, I found several options at all different price ranges, starting at the top in the high-end category from companies like SimCore or Grid Engineering, with high-definition displays typically housed in CNC machined or anodized housing. However, after seeing the prices of these units, they didn't fit into my budget at the time. I couldn't justify this kind of cash on an accessory that is mostly just a nice to have but not a must to have. The next category I explored was more reasonable offers from independent sellers, sometimes found on Etsy or their own website. These were in most cases 3D printed housing with a relatively inexpensive Vocore display. I eventually settled on a display I found on Etsy by KGL Creations. At the time of purchase, it was the most inexpensive solution I could find outside of attempting a DIY, which wasn't an option for me anyway since I don't own a 3D printer nor have access to one. Now, somewhere in the middle of a high-end unit and the more simplistic KGL dash is the SimRacing Addict's 10.5 SimRacing 5-inch dash display, which I think is an excellent option and overall value. In this video, I'll explain all the features, mounting, and software setup, and then explain why this has replaced my previous dash and become my primary DDU. I should state that SimRacing Addict was kind enough to send me this unit for testing and review, but this is still my honest review and experience using the product to help you decide if it's worth purchasing for your sim racing setup. The price of this unit is listed at £214 since the seller is located in the UK, which converts to about $260 at the time of making this video. The price includes a mount for your specific wheelbase and a detachable USB cable. The unit comes completely assembled and for the most part is plug and play, with some required software configuration which I'll get into later in this video. The display itself is a 5-inch Vocore display with a resolution of 854 by 480 pixels. It is covered with a beautiful gloss chemically strengthened Gorilla Glass, improving the look and durability. It's hard to fully understand how great this display looks until you see it in person. It's bright, clear, and colors look vibrant and accurate to my eyes. The display is a touchscreen, so you can easily switch dash pages or templates simply by pressing on the screen. You can also bind buttons using the SimHub software on your wheel or button box to access different dash pages mid-race. There are 28 programmable RGB LEDs that can be configured to match the car you're driving by using the provided profiles for SimHub, or even customize it in any way you like. The display is connected via one single USB connection. The main advantage of USB displays is that rendering is done by your CPU, which is excellent for sim racing since most of us push our GPUs to the limit to maximize quality and frame rates. What I love about the design of this USB connection is that it features a detachable cable that makes it easy to remove the dashboard when you don't want to use it. For example, when switching to driving a standard road car where you may want to see the dash cluster in game instead. Another excellent quality of life feature is the built-in power switch that is easily accessible at the back of the dash enclosure, making it easy to turn off without disconnecting it completely from your PC when not in use. One of the significant differences between this unit and the higher end ones is the enclosure, a 3D printed plastic material. Some may not like the look of this material, and I usually would agree, but in this case the printing is extremely well executed that you almost forget that it is 3D printed. It's smooth to the touch and beautifully finished with nice rounded corners and feels solid and durable. I was very impressed upon first unboxing the unit. Now let's talk about mounting the display. When you order your unit from SimRacing Addict, you will need to select which wheelbase you're using in order for them to send you a compatible mount. They have mounts for a variety of popular sim racing wheels. In my case, I opted for the Fanatic DD1 or DD2 mount. My favorite feature of the mount is that it is magnetic, making it easy to swap between 3 different height positions without having to use any tools to make the adjustments. Combined with a detachable USB cable, it makes it extremely easy to remove this unit when not in use, which I think is a must-have for a DDU and is well executed by SimRacing Addict. Once the unit is mounted to your wheelbase, which should only take a few minutes, the next step is to open up SimHub and recognize the device. When you purchase this unit from SimRacing Addict directly, you'll receive an email with a link to their Google Drive folder, which includes several files for setup, including an instruction guide, the necessary Windows drivers to recognize the display if you don't already have this installed, and a link to download the LED profiles to make sure the lights function correctly by using game telemetry. It's great to see this level of after-sales support, and from what I've experienced, the seller is an email away if you need help. It was easy to follow the steps to get things up and running, and the included LED profile is all you need, as it already consists of a standard profile that works with all the popular sim titles. If you want a higher level of accuracy, the seller has a link to a community user's LED profile that features profiles per vehicle for games like ACC and iRacing. Overall, I'm really thrilled with this unit. It looks great and the integrated LEDs add realism and immersion. This unit offers you everything you would need from a DDU outside of maybe more customized mounting options that something like the SimCore unit has, but this comes at an additional cost. If you're looking for a DDU and willing to spend a little more than a more basic display, then I think you don't need to look any further. SimRacing Addict has made an excellent product, and I believe that just at over $250 is a great value for a quality display, housing and RGB lighting included. Like I said earlier, this is by no means a must-have accessory, but certainly something you want. For me, it made the whole sim racing experience more fun while displaying important race and vehicle information. The integration with SimHub allows you to customize it to your liking, but it's also simple to set up out of the box with the provided profiles. I hope you both enjoyed and found this review helpful, and if you did, please do me a favor and hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel for more sim racing content. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you're considering purchasing a unit, please don't hesitate to ask me any questions and I'll do my best to respond. Thanks for watching. Until the next one, stay safe and happy racing.